everyone. Well, cruises are so wonderfully unexpected that I wanted to share some things that have happened to people that I've met so far on this cruise on the Cunard Queen Mary 2. So I'm traveling solo. I'm cruising solo. I always do, and I love it. You know, I really enjoy the experience of being by myself and just doing, you know, all kinds of things that make me feel good. And I just like to gaze out at the sea most of the time. But it's just a beautiful cruise, and it's a lovely ship. But anyway, most of the people on this cruise are couples, and I would say the average age is about 60, 65. It's a ship for older people. I think that's the way it's geared, but there's still a lot of young people too, but mostly couples. There are very, very few solo people, you know, people traveling by themselves like me. I met a really cool group this morning of women from Germany. There's 8 of them, and they're traveling by bus and doing a tour of Europe, and they're really sweet, and I was practicing my German with them, and they were encouraging me and sharing stories in our shared confusion with language. But anyway, it was really fun, and there's that kind of group of people here too. And then there's the I don't know how to describe them, but there's families. There's some families. There's some people with children, and then there's weird people. So last night, this is what happened to me. I was having dinner, and I was in the restaurant where you can basically just choose your own food. It's not the sit down place. And I had at a table I had 2 seats, and I was just sitting there eating my dinner, and this man came and sat opposite me. He had a beer in his hand. And he just sat down, and I said, hello, and he said, he didn't say anything. I said, can I help you? And he said, he made some muttering. I think he was speaking German, so I typed in my phone, I'm sorry, I want to eat alone. And I showed him the message in German, and he just sat there, and he didn't move. I was like, okay. So I just said, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave. So I picked up my plates, and he was like really kind of banged his hand down as it was a kind of cross, and I said, excuse me. And then I just walked away and found another seat a little bit of a distance from him. I haven't seen him since, but it was so weird. Why would you sit down opposite a person, just one person, having their dinner by themselves? I have no idea. So that was a very strange experience. And then I was up on the deck a little bit later, and I met the woman who has just made this trip for me. Her name was Susan, and the wind was howling. It was a really, really cold evening, and I was out there with my hat blowing off, and this lady came out, and she was older than me a little bit, maybe 80. I don't know. Who knows what people look like in age, but she was an older woman, and we started chatting, and it turned out that she had been on not the Queen Elizabeth, but I think it was the original Queen Mary, when she was about 8 years old in 1951. And I was explaining to her that I had been on the Queen Elizabeth when I was 8 years old in 1956. And it was such an amazing experience. Both of us had been on the very older, kind of classic Cunard ships. And so we chatted about our journeys and what we enjoyed and what we remembered. And it turns out that she'd never married. So I was married to my job. She was a banking manager, and she must have made a bit of money, because she said she's traveled the world 5 times. And she could tell me just about any country in the world, an adventure that she had. She said she's done 5 or 6 transatlantic cruises. This ship, by the way, is going on a transatlantic after Southampton. It continues to New York. So anyway, she was so sweet, and we sat together and talked for about an hour. I took a picture of her. I'll see if I can attach it at the end, but she said it was okay. But just beautiful vibrancy and life, and she was really, really tuned in to what was going on too. She was not giving up on life. So for all of you who think that older women are not out here in the world, and we're not traveling, and we're not talking to each other and enjoying life and appreciating every single moment, you can rethink that, because we're out here, just a few of us. But it was really good fun to meet her. Susan, if you're watching this, I told her about 60andMe and kind of the stuff I do, and she was really happy to chat. So those are some of the people that I've met on this cruise, and I think there's more to come. It's still the middle of the first day. Well, it's the only day at sea. Tonight tomorrow we arrive in Southampton, and then I'm heading up to Scotland to see my family there. But anyway, what an adventure. Cruising alone is a joy. I would highly recommend it if you've got any doubts at all. I don't want to cruise, I'm by myself. Just do it. You will meet the most amazing people. Forget the guy that I was describing. He was an anomaly. Everyone else has been fantastic.